Good evening. My name is Lynn Lewis, and I'm a proud member of the League of Women Voters, Dakota County. I'd like to welcome you to the ISD 191 School Board Candidate Forum this evening. This event is being broadcast and recorded via Zoom. As always at our events, we want to remind you that the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences policy through education and advocacy. We never endorse parties or candidates. And now, please let me introduce our moderator, Andrew Olson. Andrew is a trained moderator, an attorney, and an active member of the League of Women Voters, Dakota County. We're honored to have Andrew moderating our forum tonight. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Lynn. Good evening and welcome. We wish to thank the candidate, our timekeeper, and the ISD 191 TV production crew for helping us run this forum. The League of Women Voters does not endorse candidates for office, and the views expressed tonight are those of the candidate and not the League. The format for tonight is this. The candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. The candidate will then have 90 seconds to respond to each question. All questions submitted by email were reviewed and edited by a committee of League members. Due to time constraints, not all questions will be used, and questions have been edited and combined as needed. When time is running out, our timekeeper, Lynn Lewis, will hold up a yellow 15-second warning card and then a red stop card when your time is up. We ask you to respect these time limits. You will have 2 minutes at the end of the forum for a closing statement, and the forum will conclude by 7:30 p.m. The election for the ISD 191 School Board is for one position. 2 candidates will appear on the ballot, and both were invited to participate in tonight's forum. The candidates are Saeed and Abriana Savage. Abriana Savage did not respond to the invitation to participate in tonight's forum. The candidate will now have 2 minutes to make an opening statement. Sue, please go ahead.
First and foremost, thank you for having me here. I really am looking forward to the second time around being at this forum. My name is Sue Saeed, as Andrew mentioned. My legal name on the ballot is Suad. I am currently on the school board as the interim for the past 10 months. So a lot of what I continue to hope to do is I've already experienced, especially during the pandemic. That being said, I'm a Burnsville resident. I am a Burnsville High School graduate. I currently work for the state of Minnesota for Department of Employment and Economic Development. It's work that I continue to enjoy as it gives me an opportunity to work with career seekers as a counselor. And one of the biggest things that made me run for school board was my mission and my motivation to help others, and especially starting at a young age as like our students and in some of our district and on to college also. But again, thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Sue. Now we will proceed to questions, and you will have 90 seconds to respond to each question. The first question is, what motivates you to want to be a school board member?
Again, first and foremost, the District 191 has been part of my life, and now that I have my own kids going to the district, that is my number one motivation. Being able to understand from my side as far as, you know, what I've been through, what I've experienced, and what I know is, you know, the driving mission of our district and how we can continue to work that path with the younger or the generation that we have now, especially me having 4 kids in our district. Again, also the social work hat of mine, right, continues to make sure that we are able to meet everyone where they're at. And I know our district is continues to pave that way path for all of our students and families. So that is what motivated me, is to be able to help others and be able to continue to pave the way for District 191.
Great, thank you. The second question is, what particular skills or experiences that you possess qualify you to serve as a school board member?
I was really, you know, what motivated me the first time, as far as I was on the ballot at that time, was again to be part of a community that gave me so much, and a district that I knew have done so much work to focus on our future goals. But when I wasn't able to get elected through the voting system, I was able to um, be interviewed for a special seat that opened up. And January of this year is when I was put into that seat as an interim. And again, doing all the work that, all the other board members were doing. And I know that I have done my best in making sure that I understood what my job was to the community members, to our students, and to our families. And I hope that those who have been following me, those who have attended some of our listening sessions at board meetings, or watched videos that are recorded on YouTube on all of our board meetings, are able to see that I was present. I was able to lead what was on the agenda, and be able to, number one, focus on our students and continue that focus. So I'm hoping the work that I've already put in gets me to that next spot that we need to move on to, which is securing the seat for me during this election year.
Thank you. And the third question is this: in what ways have you been involved in the district's schools prior to becoming a candidate for school board? And in what other ways have you been involved in our community?
Yes. So I graduated in 2005. I've had many opportunities to move out of Minnesota, but I didn't. So that being said, I stayed only because I really enjoyed being able to connect with community members. This is my hometown that I grew up in, and whether we are, have family members, friends all over District 191. I continue to put myself out there, whether it's through volunteering through our elementary schools where my kids currently are attending, or being able to be part of community events, especially when it comes to the Somali community that I am part of. And I am grateful to have their support and their guidance on this, and they're motivating me to be on the school board. Because we do have a change in population in our District 191, and I wanted to make sure that I'm able to represent every child that we are able to help. But I am part of this community. I've been, and I will continue to be part of this community.
Thank you. And the fourth question is, what experience do you have with complicated budgets? When you are given the district's budget, what will be your process to determine if it is a good budget for the system?
Well, as far as experience with budgeting, I have done many years in my social work, regular full-time job doing budgeting. I've done budgeting when it comes to food assistance through the SNAP program through our counties. I have done many other budgeting when it comes to the job that I currently do as a counselor, and being able to help career seekers find jobs by taking trainings or continuing their education. That being said, the last 9 months or 10 months that I've been on the school board, I have been able to really assess and learn a lot about our budgeting and the different ways that we can continue to improve and do what's the most important thing, is meeting the educational needs of every child. Moving forward, my biggest thing is looking at budgeting through equity lens, and making sure that we are able to analyze all we do, especially budgeting, through those lenses, so every child gets equitable education. And I know that I have a great colleagues on the board that are behind this and have worked many years to get to this point. And I'm able to kind of add on to a lot of the things, because of my own experiences being a student here in District 191, but also knowing what equity means to me and being able to bring that to my colleagues. So I really do appreciate and get the motivation from my team that I have on the board at District 191.
Thank you. The fifth question is this: how can we teach our children about our country's history through the lens of equity and inclusion?
Well, I definitely agree with making sure that our children understand history and are able to be given that information and that education on history. That being said, we need to be able to understand that, you know, there's a lot to learn about history, but there's also a lot that we can continue to change so that we are able to not be offensive to students, families, and community members. So my understanding is always trying to listen to what our students have to tell us because they know what they want. They know what they want from us as educators, as community members, and as school board members. And I try my very best to be able to understand all areas, but I understand my most important one is students and families. And being able to give them that information on history, but also respecting that sometimes certain things can be offensive to certain students or families, and we need to be able to find a way that we can teach in a very equitable way, and the empathy has to be there. I think we have lost empathy in being able to understand history, and I know our district does a great job and has done a great job being able to teach these very hard topics, and especially in the environment that we have been in the last 2 years.
Thank you. And the sixth question is, how can we teach, I'm sorry, I had the wrong slide. How do you plan to address the growing number of students not testing at grade level due to disruptions in learning due to the pandemic?
Well, we all know that the pandemic was not something that we prepared for, but we are prepared for it if it happens again, right? We've learned a lot, and we continue to learn a lot from here on. So I believe in the work that our school district has done so far. I've also have seen the hard work that our staff and administrators and our superintendent has put in to make sure that every student gets that learning, especially when it came to the distant learning. And let me tell you, we are doing, a lot better than other districts when it came to our distant learning. We were prepared early on when it came to technology wise. We were able to put Wi-Fi in hotspots and work with our cities to make sure those things were available to every student. So I think we have done a great job, even though we weren't prepared 100%. It led us to really work in different ways and continue to support our families and hear from our families. We were able to address any concerns they might have had during this time, and we were able to tackle it. And that I really appreciated, and COVID was the number one reason why I decided to go and run for the seat again, because the wonderful work that has been put and at such a quick pace. And I appreciated the help of everyone that was involved in it.
Thank you. Here's the seventh question. Many school districts currently require proof of many vaccinations before a student can attend, including polio, measles, and chickenpox. At what point should COVID vaccinations be added to the list? And if not, do you believe that all vaccination requirements should be made voluntary?
So what I've learned being a school board member is I'm not a decision maker at all. This is a collaboration between the whole team. And this is a working relationship that works along the superintendent. So for something like that, I definitely will be able to look at it all the aspects of it, right? Collaborate with my team, make sure that we are able to hear from all sides and govern. But when it comes to making those decisions and management decisions, I want to be part of that governance and be able to hand it off to the superintendent and the administrators to work together to find a solution for it. But again, school board member, being a school board member for me, it's not an individual choices that you make or decisions. It's working together and collaborating. And I think that's when all the work and most of the work gets done is when we work together as a team.
Thank you. The eighth question is this. Much has changed in our schools in the last 18 months. Undoubtedly, there are more changes and challenges to come. As a candidate, what do you see as the most important issue facing the district in year 3 or 4 of your 4-year term?
Well, the most important thing is we are able to analyze the data that we have that comes from testing scores or how well our students have done during COVID, and being able to find ways to make sure that we are reaching out to those students, that we are having the right training and training development for our staff to make sure every student is caught up or being able to give them that opportunity to succeed. So making sure that we're able to analyze, because we know COVID has impacted a lot and it's not something that will go away in the next 2 to 3 years. So we need to continue to analyze that data, to follow it, but also follow it using the equity lens. Again, I keep bringing the equity lens because the education system has, in some ways, have not looked at any of anything in by using the equity lines, but our district is paving the way for many districts, and I'm glad to be on it. And I hope to be continue to working on that that equity lens to make sure that all of our students succeed, whether we are in a pandemic or not. So that is my mission when it comes to the next couple of years being on the board. And then another thing is the fact that our district continues to show that we are able to collaborate with our families and our community members, because it takes a village and we need to be able to recognize that.
Thank you. The ninth question is, describe how you would provide quality education for a diverse student population, such as gifted and talented, average students, special needs students, physically challenged, academically challenged, English language learners, cultural differences, and the LGBTQ community.
The number one thing is to be recognized. If you find yourself in a special group or a special area, we need to be able to recognize it, put in the support and resources to make sure that every student succeeds. I think we have done a very great job at making sure certain students and that classify themselves in certain groups are supported, put the right staff in there. Also be able to give our staff that training they need, whether it's the equity training or whether it is meeting families and students where they're at. I am very impressed at how far we have come to make every family and student welcome. I can walk into any elementary school and be able to make sure and see with my own eyes that our staff reflects the students that we have. And yes, we can continue to improve and make sure we have the staff that reflect the students we're serving. But we are doing a lot better than many districts, and I know that we will continue to do that. But providing teachers of color, making sure that LGBTQ community students are protected, making sure that special education is seen and graded as a success, and making sure we have the right staff, our multilingual families. So these are conversations that continue to happen on our board. So, and I hope that we are able to continue that work and hear from members.
Thank you. The 10th question is this. How can a school board with differing opinions on major topics work together to achieve common goals for the district?
Well, I mentioned collaboration because I think that is an important component to really doing our jobs. And I think we have done a very great job at doing that on our board. I can totally see it with the comparisons that I have seen other school boards go through. We are also open to allowing change, to making sure that each board member is heard, and that the data that is presented reflects what our families and students want from us. So again, I'm not in that management role as a school board member. I'm all about governance. Um, but I know that I can hear from my community members. I can hear from my students, from the students, and bring that to the board. But being able to discuss that as a group is what my motivation is that collaboration piece that keeps happening for us. And again, I think we are on that equity lens, all of us on the board, and that is my my happy spot, because I know there isn't any disagreement in that way. In that, we all have a vision, and we're not protecting, we're continuing to foster this vision 191 for all families.
Thank you. We'll stay on a similar topic with question 11, which is this. Board members must at times decide to support or oppose controversial issues that have vocal supporters on both sides. What process would you use, and with whom would you consult in making such decisions?
To answer the last question is the consultant. Again, it's all about collaboration for me, because that's how I believe things get done. But as far as listening, I think the students are the ones that pave the way for us. It's their education. So when I'm presented with something, I want to hear more about the data. I want to hear more about where is this coming from, and who had input in their perspective, and anything that is able to foster and continue a equitable education for all students. I'm all in it. But again, we are here for the students, and that is my focus on this. And another thing that I would take into consideration when making decisions is our families and what they're asking of us, because we are their ambassadors and we bring some of their issues to the table. So listening and being able to talk about it as a group is the most important thing for me to do. Not always can I find a solution to a particular issue, but listening and bringing it to the table is the best that I can do. I will work hard towards that.
Thank you. Question 12 is this. What are 2 to 3 strengths of which this district can be proud, and why?
So this district, growing up in Burnsville and graduating from our district 2005, I think that the the way we welcome our families has changed so much under the Vision 191. Again, it's that community sense that I'm feeling right now as a parent of having children in the district, and being also comparing that to the way I have seen District 191 graduating from it. And I think we have done a amazing job at communicating with family members, giving them the opportunity to be involved and engaged, and having them lead us alongside their student. Um, Second thing I would say is the equity piece. Yes, equity has been a big topic in the last 18 months, but it's been a topic that's been discussed multiple times because families and students are asking that. And so I continue to advocate for that. And I know that my fellow board members continue to advocate for it. So I do see that changing a lot. And number three is the tone that I get, the information that I get from students of color, families of color, or families that have a special needs child, or the LGBTQ community, that they do see our schools, all of our District 191 welcoming. And that is something that I want to continue to grow. Even if I'm not on the board, I know I will be there to make sure these areas are covered.
Thank you. So we've been going through these questions rather quickly, and we have one final question for you before we go to a closing statement. So the 13th and final question is this. What 2 to 3 changes would you like to see during your term?
So I will admit there's a lot to learn about budgeting. My first 10 months of budgeting was, you know, it's more than an education system. This is basically running, a wearing that business hat and understanding all the different dynamics into the budgets. And I hope to continue to feel much confident in the budgeting process, making sure that we are able to use the equity lenses to work on our budget, to also support our staff. Our teachers are number one, and so we need to be able to constantly put their perspective on this too. And I want to make sure that I have the educators in mind in all decisions. So that's what I hope to continue to do. And number two is, our district is currently really, has always been blessed with great superintendents, but we do have a superintendent right now that works so hard in such a complicated situation when it came to COVID. And I learned so much from all the hard work and communication that her staff has done. And I'm so appreciative of all they've done. So that is something that I continue to, tell myself that we are in good hands, whether we are in a COVID pandemic or not. And we can only continue to achieve and get better from here on using our Vision 191.
Thank you. And Sue, you now have 2 minutes to make your closing statement, so please go ahead.
Well, again, thank you for having me, and for all the viewers, thank you so much for being able to tune in tonight. I hope that you are able to get out there and vote. And if you vote, please bring along a family or friend to vote also. Being on a school board, it's not an easy job, but it's a very rewarding and enjoyable job. And I want to continue to make sure that all students and families are met where they're at. And I want to continue to make sure that every policy that has come across me so far, being on the policy committee, is looked at through the equity lens for all families. So please vote November 2nd. But let me tell you, the last 10 months has given me a lot of ideas and windows and experiences on being on the board. But I do have a great team to help me continue to grow, and also continue to foster the Vision 191 mission. So again, thank you, and I hope to keep my seat. That's the number one thing I'm here for, right? Keep my seat and continue the hard work and the most rewarding work that we have.
Thank you, Sue, for your time and participation this evening. Thank you, audience, for your interest and the questions submitted for tonight's forum. Thank you as well to the ISD 191 TV production crew for providing technical expertise. You may watch tonight's forum on cable channel 18 in Burnsville, cable channel 16 in Eagan, ISD 191's YouTube channel, Eagan TV's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and via the Roku app's community channel. Lastly, thank you so much to all of the League volunteers who worked to make this forum happen. Please remember to vote on Election Day, Tuesday, November 2nd, or any time prior to that day by absentee ballot. Thank you and good night.
Recording stopped.